You that when you're studying for your nursing program, do not think I'm studying just to get an A. You're studying to actually pass the NCLEX so that you can adequately take care of your patients. Hello you guys, welcome back to the Nurse Collective. This page is all about providing motivation, clarity, and encouragement to all of you all who are in the nursing field. If you are looking to become a nurse or thinking about becoming a nurse or currently a nurse and you're looking for some motivation, some clarity, and a little bit of encouragement, this page is for you. So do yourself a favor and hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you can be notified of all upcoming videos. So if you are a new nurse, do yourself a favor and go to my stand store, and I will provide the link here on the screen so that you can download my free ebook that basically provides tips that helps you navigate your first year of nursing. I have found that as a new nurse, I struggled. It was one of the most discouraging moments of my life. Once I made it through, I discovered that the sky was the limit. So you guys, let's get right into the video. I have received so many requests and so many comments on how you can effectively study for nursing exams. Nursing school is all about nursing exams, so let's get into the video. First and foremost, when you are studying for your nursing exams, the one thing I always say whenever I'm giving videos is just take a deep breath. I know a lot of people have heard so many horror stories about how nursing exams are so brutal and they're hard, and I'm not going to lie to you, they are very hard, and they're hard for a reason, to prepare you for the NCLEX. But I want you to actually just take a deep breath, and I want you to actually just be calm and know that you can actually pass the nursing exams. And so here are the tips. Before we begin actually studying, I suggest that you find basically what type of learner you are. That will actually eliminate you getting so many bad grades, eliminate so much frustration. Understand what type of learner, and I will link that quiz down in the description box because it will help you. Nursing exams are filled with multiple choice questions. They're also filled with doses and calculation questions, and I'm basing this is off of my program. So you do not have fill in the blank and all that things. There are multiple choice and doses and calculation questions. So number one, we're going to talk about the syllabus. I talked about this in my previous video on how to prepare for nursing school, and I will link that actually in this video right here. But the first and foremost thing is you need to actually find your syllabus. Your syllabus is your guide to your entire course or courses in your nursing program. You need to know your syllabus in and out, and in your syllabus, your instructor will basically outline when all your exams will be. And so you know from the beginning of the semester till the end of the semester, or however long your course is, you will know specifically what dates your tests will be. And once you actually have basically all those dates, you need to get a planner. And this is my planner, and I stress having a planner with you, keeping it with you, and actually putting the dates of your exam in your planner and actually adding them to your phone, because you always have your phone, so that you can be aware of when your exams are, so that actually that will help you figure out how you're going to study, because you cannot study the day before when it comes to nursing exams. So the first and foremost thing is I got my syllabus. I knew the dates of all my exams. I put them in all of my planners, my phone, my physical planner. And then after that, basically your instructor will outline the readings that you need in order to basically be successful in your exam. Once you get the readings, I am just going to be honest. When I first started out in my nursing program, I was reading nonstop. I was reading word for word, every paragraph. It's a lot of reading, sometimes hundreds of pages. And I'm going to be honest and say that I stopped reading those pages. This is just for me, and I do not encourage you to do that if that's something that you feel that you need. But for me, reading did not help me pass my exams. Actually understanding the information helped me pass my exams, because you only, I think, acquire like 10% of the reading that you actually look at when you're reading textbooks. So I didn't learn anything from just reading, and it took so much time. So basically, once I got the readings inside of the textbook actually are broken down into chapters or broken down into diagnosis. Nursing is all about diagnosis and how we're going to intervene and take care of the patient. So for instance, if I was doing an exam now, I basically will open the textbook pertaining to my syllabus, and I will go to the actual pages that were outlined in the syllabus, and I would actually go in and I would actually open up a new document in Microsoft Word. So I both have my textbook, and I will also have my computer open, and I will have Microsoft Word open. And once I was in Microsoft Word, basically I started to basically write down all the key diagnoses. For instance, we're going through respiratory. I'm making something up right now. If we were going through respiratory diseases, I would have COPD and asthma that were in the textbooks. And basically I would do this throughout the entire readings, because the readings are outlining what specific diagnoses will be on the exam. And so I would go through and basically create an outline, which would actually be my study guide for the course. And I would go through the readings and pick out all the important things. What I have learned in nursing programs is that you basically need to understand nursing diagnosis in regards to the pathophysiology, the etiology. You need to know the interventions. You need to know the key labs. You need to know how to intervene. You need to know the signs and symptoms. And those are the main things that you need to know in order to pass exams. You need to know nursing diagnosis in and out. And so that's basically what I did throughout the entire readings. And when I actually went through the textbooks, not only did I just write down the diagnosis, but I wrote down everything under there. I was writing out signs and symptoms. I was writing out the interventions. I was writing out the lab exams. So everything that came from the textbook, for as information that pertained to that section, for instance, if it's COPD, I wrote down in my outline. Okay. Once I got done acquiring all the information from the textbook, I'm finished with the textbook. I don't need the textbook anymore, unless I physically took it to class just to show face to my professor, because, you know, you can't go to class without actually the textbook. And so once I actually went through that, I actually have an outline now on Microsoft Word that I actually formed that will become my study guide. This is also a homework assignment that my teacher and my specific professors, how they actually set up our program. It was not only our homework, but that homework actually became my study guide. And they just physically wanted to see that we actually were reading, because that's how they understood or correlated that we had read. And so once I understood that, I was like, oh my gosh, so this is a homework assignment, but there's actually a study guide. And so for me, I created my study guide. We had a choice to write it, but I decided to actually type it out, because I actually would print out that study guide. So I would go through and I actually finished with the book. So once I'm finished with the book, I would go through and actually read and see if I understood everything that came from the textbooks. I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of times when you're reading the textbooks, there's so many big words, so many things that even from the etiology, the pathophysiology, I was like, what? It doesn't make sense. I feel like they made it so, they used so many big words that you did not understand. And I did not want to go into class not understand it. And I understood that if I did not understand it from the book, that means that I needed to dig deeper and to find resources that would dummy it down. Some of the ways that I actually use to dummy things down was I went to YouTube and I will actually link some of the people that I actually use. For instance, I believe her name is RNnurse.com. She basically takes everything and makes it into layman's terms. I will go find other YouTube videos that explain. I think Picmonic is now out on YouTube. And I will also link the book that I use. I'll put it like right here. It's actually an NCLEX book that actually dummies things down, provides charts and all kinds of things. One of the other things is that I would try to find mnemonics to help learn things better, because it's all about memorizing. So basically, if I found that the etiology and some of the other things were just really big, I would try to find resources to go and take whatever I had typed in that sounded big, and I would go in and I would actually add another column or another space, and I would either write in or type in what that meant in layman's terms. Because if you just simply write it down and you don't understand, you're not acquiring knowledge, you're not understanding, because you need to understand the patho and the etiology of this diagnosis to understand really what's going on with your patient, especially when it comes to diabetes, it comes to COPD. You need to understand what these things mean so that you can ultimately understand if your patient starts to decline in real life. So that's what I basically did. Now, when it comes to signs and symptoms, there are so many diagnoses and so many signs and symptoms that we had to learn in for one exam. And again, to make things easy, I will go to Pinterest. Pinterest was my friend in regards to finding mnemonics and helping me understand signs and symptoms. When it comes to lab results that I needed to know for certain diagnoses, I also went to Pinterest. If they didn't have a mnemonic, I actually made mnemonics up and I will write that in right then and there. Far as interventions, I believe a lot of things sometimes when it comes to actually studying for nursing exams, it's all about memorization, and that's just simply it. You have to actually take the time to actually memorize a lot of things, and that requires time. That again does not start the day before an exam. And so I actually spent time just going through memorizing things. So you guys, I actually used other resources that actually helped with my understanding of the material. And I believe that this takes time, probably days, in order to actually do this, or hours, depending upon how you work. But I will mostly spend about two or 3 days actually making this outline. And you guys, I had to work ahead. I would make sure that my outline was actually finished. So on the day that my professor will go over this material in class, it wouldn't be the first time that I will hear this information. It was the second time. And so when I got to class, my study guide and everything that I needed to know had already been in my mind already once. And so I was coming to class basically asking the professor, hey, I read this, and so I could get their opinion. A lot of times you will get some good professors that actually explain things, and I'm not going to lie, there were some professors who were actually just reading off the PowerPoint, and I was not learning, and I was failing exams because I was relying on them instead of actually putting it into my own words. So you guys, this again, I made my own study guide. That was the first time I reviewed, and once I finished the study guide, I would go through and I would read. I would try to start memorizing some things. Second, I will go into class with my study guide as the professor, he or she, went over it. That would be the second time that I would go through, and I would ask questions. I would, probably pose questions and things of that sort, and make up things so that I could be involved in class to let my professor know that I actually did my homework, right? Also, there were a lot of things that I realized that some of my students were actually good in certain areas. That's why you have nurses that actually go to different specialties, whether cardiac or things of that sort. And I would ask those students that were actually knowledgeable things like, hey, in class I heard that you said this, so tell me, how do you understand that? How did you basically come to know these things, so that I could glean from them? You guys, once I was done with that study guide, I was not going to put it somewhere and wait till the day before to actually study. So what I did was I actually printed off the study guide. It would stay with me physically. I will also keep it on my computer, and I converted it to my phone, and I will put a link of what the app is on my phone, so that basically wherever I was, if I had downtime, if I was waiting for a doctor's appointment, if I was somewhere where I had just waiting and I wanted to actually do something, study, scrolling through my phone, I could be studying. And you guys, I was studying every day. And for me, once I created that study guide, I committed myself to studying at least 20 to 30 minutes every day. Even if I was in class and I had lectures every Monday, you guys, I would come home, I would take a break, I would go in my designated place to study, and I would spend 20 minutes actually studying. And I did this all the way up until my nursing exam. 2 to 3 days before my nursing exam, that was crunch time. By that time, I should have memorized everything. And so, learner. So you guys, once I actually spent so many days memorizing things, 2 or 3 days before my exam, I would actually go in, and my husband created whiteboards. And say, for instance, they were like behind me, the whiteboards, I would actually write everything. So for instance, if it was COPD, I would put COPD at the top. That COPD at the top, I would the patho, the etiology, the signs and symptoms, the interventions, everything that pertained to that diagnosis would be written out. I know you're like, Leah, really? Yes, I would physically write it out and spend time writing it out, and even trying to memorize it from just writing it out. And the reason why I did this, because you guys, I can remember there will be times in my exam where I would get a question and we're like basically deciphering a diagnosis or some type of patient example or scenario on the exam, and it would ask, well, what diagnosis would you put with this one, or what intervention would you put to this one? And I would physically remember in my mind on my whiteboard if I wrote down COP, and I could see it. And so that actually helped me study and remember, and actually prevented me from making so many mistakes on my exam, because I was a visual learner, and because my husband had put that whiteboard in my study area, I could actually see some of the answers in my mind because I had memorized it in my mind, because I am a visual learner. So again, if you're not sure of what type of learner you are, I have put the link down in the description that will help you so that you can understand the way that you acquire information, how you need to actually study so that you can be successful in your exams. And you guys, once it happens, it would just free you of so much anxiety, so much frustration. So yes, please take that course. And once you actually take the course and you figure out what type of learner you are, please let me know in the comments. Tell me, I'm a visual learner, I'm an auditory learner, whatever it is, let me know. So I did that 2 or 3 days prior to my exam. Once I was done with that, that's the end of studying. And then I would take the day before my exam. I would not be trying to memorize things unless, sometimes things happen. Maybe someone went to the hospital or something like that. But an ideal time of studying, which takes like a week or 2, I think they gave us like a week of studying all these diagnoses, I would spend that time actually trying to find NCLEX questions. And I will again put the picture of the book that I use, because ultimately you are taking exams to pass the NCLEX. Yes, you want to pass nursing school, and you can pass nursing school if you do everything, but you will basically not be able to be a nurse if you don't pass the NCLEX. So when you study your exams, you need to actually remember, I'm not studying just to pass an exam. I'm actually studying so that I can pass the NCLEX, because you don't want to actually get to the point where you pass nursing school and then you're ready to take the NCLEX and you got to study all over again. You guys, I'm not trying to say this to boast, but I was pregnant, nauseous, and just all kinds of messed up when it came to studying for the NCLEX, and I didn't really have to study because I actually felt that I put in the work for the 4 years that I was acquiring my bachelor's degree and studying hard. So at the point where I was supposed to be studying and all these things for the NCLEX, I didn't really even study. I just reviewed things, and you guys, by the grace of God, I passed. And so I'm admonish you that when you're studying for your nursing program, do not think I'm studying just to get an A. You're studying to actually pass the NCLEX so that you can adequately take care of your patients. I spent the day before my exam answering questions because basically you need to understand if you actually understand this information in order to decipher a patient's scenario. So you can memorize all the information from the diagnosis, all that you want, but if you do not know how to take that information and actually decipher a patient's scenario, then that was all for nothing. And so I spent the day actually finding questions. And again, I will put the link to the book that actually gave me questions. I will go online to find. I'll actually link some more resources that will help you find NCLEX questions to help you practice for your nursing exam. And you guys, this makes the world a difference. This is key. Again, you can all find all these mnemonics, but if you do not know how to take the information that you have memorized and you have studied and to help decipher patient scenarios, then you can't pass the nursing exam, because they are critical thinking questions. And that took me, I think, about a whole semester of feeling things and struggling to realize that you don't just memorize, you have to actually take the information and actually use it to decipher nursing questions. So that's what I did the day before. And anything that felt like a little iffy or anything that I wasn't unsure of, then I had to go back and I had to start memorizing things, and I had to understand why did I get that wrong and go back and find resources of how I could understand that better. And you guys, I'm not going to say that I actually was acing exams in the beginning. I was failing. I was barely passing. And I remember how I felt in that moment because I was the oldest one in my class. But I do realize that a lot of nursing programs are not helping you in the forefront of how to actually take nursing exams. And so I pray that this video was helpful for you guys, because it took me about my second year of nursing to understand how I learned. And once I realized how I learned, then I understood how I could actually set up all of my information so that I could acquire it and actually pass my exams. And y'all, when it came to my last year of nursing school, I was ready for those exams. I had all this information in my head, and I was so excited that I had found a way to actually be successful in nursing school. And that's when it all clicked. It was like, yes, I can do this. So you guys, I hope this video was so helpful for you, because I wish that I had a video like this when I started out in nursing school. But again, if I can just recap on if I can just recap this video, understand what type of learner you are, find your syllabus that outlines your nursing exams, put them in your digital planner, your physical planner, find your syllabus. You can read if you want to read all of the information, but I did not personally read. I actually went through the textbook and I actually got the main points and I put it into a study guide, which also was my homework assignment, but I made sure that a study guide was accessible. I printed it out physically. I added to a digital document so that I could have it on my phone and study in my downtime. And I committed to a time frame of studying every day, at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even if I was in lectures all day, because you cannot study the night before. And I actually spent some time the day before answering NCLEX style questions. So you guys, if you implement this plan, please let me know how it has worked for you. And I pray that you are successful in your nursing journey. All right, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.